Right. Good afternoon. This is Chris here, aka Dishy. I'm here with you to talk about Habit 8. Habit 8 is make downtime for macro. Alright, so we have 3 easy ways to do this. 1, we can move our troops around. 2, we can provide a buffer with a Marine Scout or a scan. And 3, we can simply run our troops. So I'm going to start with number 1 here. So we're going to talk about moving troops. In this example, we're playing against a 4700 MMR Terran player. It's a TVT, of course. So I'm blue. We did a build that hits at 8 minutes with stim and 1-1 finishing. Oh, should be finishing, I'll say, but whatever. So, anyway, so we're just trying to find damage here, and we managed to find some damage at the natural. I think I had an idea that his army was over here when I decided to drop over here. Anyway, so let's keep watching. And we're just finding damage. We saw this tank coming in, so we went right next to the tank. And here we are. So we're about to move some troops away from incoming... away from danger. So I had some Marines over here. And we know that his army is here. So what we want to do is move our troops in a southwesterly way to find damage and buy more time for macro and prolong the attack so that our opponent makes as many mistakes as possible. So, that would be good for us. So, one thing at a time here. Let's see. So we managed to find a hole in the defense. Okay, so here we are. We managed to kill some SCVs. We're moving southwesterly. And so we just killed some SCVs, and I'm constantly running away from his army, and I kind of greedily went for the turret, but whatever. That's all I wanted to show you, though, right there, for moving the troops, at least. Just that concept alone, just understand that that's what you want to do. Ideally, I don't think I was doing this, but ideally, when you're moving your troops away from the danger, you should be filling dots or throwing down mules. So it looks like I didn't do that this game, but I wanted to let you know that that's what you should be doing. And then notice right when I ran the troops, that's when I started to fill the dots. So that's buying time for macro. Okay, so let's have another look at this. I showed you that the troops are coming in, and I wanted to show you the mistakes that the prolonged aggression caused. So he yoinked SCVs away from his base, so that's lost mining time. He could have moved them back now, but he forgot to because of more aggression here. So, because we're moving our troops around, because we didn't leave at 8:10 or whatever, 8:10, let's see. Yeah, 8. Yeah, so like what if we left right now? We wouldn't have caused more damage. It's kind of obvious to keep our troops here and do more damage. So, through moving our troops, trying to do more damage, we cause more mistakes. So anyway, so his SCVs are still here. He still hasn't put them back on minerals or gas, and they mine at a speed of 1 per second, so multiplied number of SCVs that are idle times the number of seconds that he could have put them back at, and that's how many minerals he lost. And then you combine that with these SCVs over here, which still haven't gone back on minerals. and he even swapped the SCVs. I believe he did, at least. Yep, he sent them to the wrong bases, so that's more minerals he missed. Also, I wanted to show you that he forgot these reactors here. So ideally he would be putting them down now. Right when the pressure hits, he forgets it. And it's not until, I'm going to show you this, it's not until 10:17 that he gets those reactors going. I mean, 10... Oh wow, is it 11? Okay, so never mind. 10:47 that he gets those reactors going. So that's a lot of troops he missed out on building, and he had to start his 4th earlier to compensate with all those minerals. So if you imagine those reactors up earlier, he would have spent more money, leading to his 4th not needing to go down, or not going down that soon. Essentially, he put his 4th down way too soon because the pressure made him forget the reactors. And all I'm expressing is that prolonging the aggression will cause more mistakes from your opponent. Okay. Anyway, so those are the big time mistakes. And then, oh, I wanted to show you this too at 8:55, or no, 8:05 is it? Yep, 8:05. This is kind of a revisit from our last few videos. So, if you notice, I have it on my camera here. So I'm filling dots. And it's kind of interesting because as we go and kill this tank, that creates some downtime for us. Like, we're not going to sit here watching our troops. So while we're killing that tank, we fill the dots. See how they're all full. Now we bounce back to our base here and do some macro actions. So what I did was I built a armory and a depot. Then I flipped back to my troops and continued the damage as soon as the tank was done dying. So anyway, then we moved the troops away from the danger, try to find some damage, and then leave. Cool. So, that was a lot of information, but yeah, just, it's kind of a simple concept. I just wanted to dissect my knowledge for you. Okay. I guess I have in my notes, all I want you to know is that we move troops to avoid danger and find damage, which also buys time to do a quick macro action. This continued movement prolongs the aggression, which causes more mistakes from the opponent, and we want to make sure that we're macroing during the aggression to be ahead of the opponent. Okay, so let's get out of this replay so I can show you more examples of how to make downtime. Okay, so this is a good one. So this example is against it's a TVZ. This guy is about 5150, so 5,150. All right. I'm going kind of fast because I have a lot to say. Also, I'm going to repeat some of the stuff I've said already, because with this Reaper coming up, I can give you more examples of moving troops while to buy time for macro while causing pressure to make mistakes from the opponent. Okay, so the initial pressure is here, the Reaper, and we're just focus firing the drone. Notice we're going to move away from the danger to both. So we're going to move in the direction of my cursor, so up and right. And moving away from the lings both buys time for filling dots. Let's see if I'm doing it though. It buys time for filling dots and for it buys time for filling dots and causes more damage to the opponent, and causes more errors to the opponent. It looks like I'm not filling the dots, which is a mistake, but I should be. There I go. As soon as I turned the Reaper around, I started filling the dots. But anyway, wanted to show you that. I'm kind of going back at it, but the queen's out, so of course we're not going to do anything. So back at home, we're just doing 2-on-1 build. With the Reaper, we're just kind of dancing around looking for creep tumors. Got one, that's good for us. Just ran to a safe location to see if there's any Ling run-bys coming. And then we just chill out for a while. Continue the build. Also, I did the scoutless, so I'm hitting pretty early. Just now I checked for a third, make sure we don't have to come back. I think I saw some drones. Yep. Also, my Reaper saw these 2 queens, which means these 2 medevacs. Instead of going this way into the third, I boosted them into the main because there's no risk. His queens are over here, so we can move our troops in his base. So anyway, here we are. I'm just describing the example coming up. This early layer is kind of strange, but whatever. So we pretty much blindsided this guy. I'm not sure if he understands the timing of this build. He seemed to be hit completely off guard. But anyway, let's watch what happens. So, 1 second. Okay. That's all I had to say about that. So, okay, so we're back here. That's the situation. So, we did a lot of damage because he didn't know it was coming. Lifted up the Widow Mine, brought it back to the medevac. Okay, so I'm running away here. I didn't chase the drones because I'm anticipating a lot of danger in this area. I anticipated Lings and Banelings to just fly up the ramp to defend this army. So anyway, I'm moving away once again. I'm moving away from the anticipated army and trying to find damage, which is an Overlord and a spawning pool. Looks like I chased the Lings for a little bit. It's kind of questionable. Okay, so here we are killing the spawning pool, and this is where the second example begins. So let's talk about scanning and scouting to make downtime for macro. Okay. So scouting and scanning is what I'll call buffering our troops, and this buffer tells us if our troops are in danger. The scouting is important because once we know our troops are in danger, we stop macroing to save the troops. I'll say that again. The scouting is important because once we know our troops are in danger, we stop macroing and save the troops. Thus, a buffer buys time to safely macro. Okay, that probably didn't make much sense, but here, I'm going to explain it more. So we don't have vision right now, right? So that means the decision to jump back to our base and do some macro actions. At this moment, I need to be adding my second command center and a depot or 2. So anyway, the decision to do that is very much a gamble because we're on creep, so Banelings can wipe out our entire army the moment we flip back to our base and do a macro action. Okay, so since that's the case, we are going to scan. Right? Yeah, we're going to scan ahead to tell us when we'll be in danger. So here we go. There's the scan. Okay, in this case, the scan told us that danger is not coming for a while, since 4 Lings and 2 morphing Banelings is not scary. 6 Lings, pardon me. That's not scary at all. So we have plenty of time to macro. Thus, we're going to tap the camera location, do some macro actions, and jump back to our troops to snipe some Banes. So there we go. I just put it on my camera, by the way. Whenever I'm jumping back to the base, well, I shouldn't say that. Just right now, I'm on my camera and I am doing what I described. So I jump back to the base. I'm gonna add that second command center, hopefully. Yep, there it goes, and a depot. And then we jump back to our army to be ready for those morphing Banelings. And even I underdid it. I probably could have sat there macroing longer because there's no banelings yet. But you get the idea. Okay, so I'm gonna just reiterate what I was saying. So we scanned ahead to tell us when we'll be in danger, and until we are in danger, we have that amount of time, or that amount of downtime to macro. Okay, so we did that. We scanned, we saw how much downtime we had, which was a lot in this case. So then we did a couple macro actions, and then went back to our troops, and now we're ready to snipe some Banes. So what I'm doing now is I'm just, I don't know, just killing troops, and until we have to leave, I'll leave, or until we have so many minerals that I absolutely need to leave to macro. Didn't do a heck of a good job of sniping Banes here, but got 2 for the price of losing a few Marines, but whatever. Ideally, we would be practiced at sniping and kill all the Banelings. So BB-un. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to show. Give me 1 second. Oh, okay. So, I have one more thing. I'm gonna go back to when I was killing the pool. I wanted to show you something. So, when I'm killing the pool, notice how all the dots are full here. I'm on my camera, by the way. So this is what I'm clicking on. So we see that all the dots are full, and all those dots are full. The reason the second starport dot isn't full is because I don't have 100 gas, otherwise it would be full. Anyway, so all I'm trying to say is that since all the dots are full already, it's much better to flip back to your base and do some macro actions rather than, it's much better to provide a buffer with a scan or Marine Scout. See how, in this case, I could have sent one of my Marines over here and just set them here. I'll show you that later, I guess. But anyway, so it's better to provide a buffer for our army and do some macro actions instead of staying here and watching our troops while just filling the dots when they disappear. I hope that makes sense. I guess I can reiterate that for you I don't know. It's just really important. So since all the dots are full, it's better to do macro actions in your base than to sit here and wait for the dots to vanish and refill them while just watching our army. That is wasting time. It's not wasting time, it's just not using it to your fullest extent. Okay, let's see if I have any more points. Okay, I do actually. Okay, so let's say that we are back in our base, like right now. Let's say that in this situation we didn't see any lings or banelings, so we're like, okay, they must be coming, but they're probably not here. They're probably over here, on their way to defending my army. Okay, so in that case, what we're gonna do is not sit here and look at the scan and watch for incoming danger or whatever. Not sit here microing our troops with all our dots full. What we're gonna do is we'll go back to our base and macro, in this case, you know, the command center, depot, yeah. So what we do is keep our eye over here where my cursor is on the minimap, and once we see this army here reach this area, so while we're macroing in our base, we have our eye over here where my cursor is, and once we see a blue kind of a blue, whatever you want to call it, like a smudge of blue stuff moving towards our troops, that's the moment that we double tap our troops and leave. So what I'm saying is, oh, sorry. I already said what I wanted to say. Now I'm going to expand on it a little bit. So what if the scan expired and we still didn't see some units coming in here? Well, in that case, we would scan again. You'd literally scan again and then go back to your base and keep macroing. Yeah, and you'd probably start, you might flip back to your units real quick, start taking out the lair, and scan again, then go back to your base and macro with your eye still on the minimap, waiting for that blue smudge of units to come in and kill your troops. Because that would be a good use of time. Also, if you didn't want to scan again, or if we're out of scans, which right now I'm not out of scans, but if I was, what we could do is send a Marine here. So actually I will just show you that. Okay. So what we do is send a Marine here, probably attack that, and yeah, so then this is acting as our scan, or our scout buffer. So while we're killing the lair, we're in our base, so ideally we'd already have some more SCVs numbered. And then we would do 3 barracks, an armory, 2 refineries, and we'd keep on macroing, probably until the lair dies, of course, but in a real game it probably wouldn't happen. But anyway, so until this Marine is attacked, we will just keep macroing. So yeah, so that's what I'd be doing. So sending guys on gas, filling the dots, okay, and doing macro cycles. Okay, so let's say that I'm just macroing, I'm about to throw down my 3rd depot or whatever, and then this Marine, the game, you know, you see those red squares coming in on the attacked unit. So we would see that Marine being attacked, and then I would double tap my army, load them up, and run away. I guess a really quick tip, just because I just thought of it right now, a really quick tip is to always fill your fullest medevac first, and then run away. Yeah, that's a good detail, to be honest, because losing a medevac is pretty bad. Okay, anyway, so last thing I wanted to say before we call it quits for the day is we can also use a Marine Scout buffer to this is more common in a Protoss match, by the way. So let's say we are waiting for more pressure. Let's say this is our double drop in a TVP. We're waiting for more double drops, or whatever. Yeah, probably double drop here. So we're waiting for another double drop to hit his natural. And the Protoss. Okay, this is a lot of explaining. Okay, so in a TVP, let's say we just ran in with a double drop here, and some stalkers came over and shoot us away down here. Okay, so the Protoss player knows our army is down here, right? So we're kind of waiting, we're kind of, you know, macroing and waiting for our second drop to arrive, maybe at his natural here, before we dive in here again, or before we attack his third again here. So what we're gonna do is use a Marine Scout buffer here, because the Protoss player knows our medevacs are here, so he's probably going to send some stalkers, send his army to fight us here, while leaving some stalkers here to defend, right? Okay, so since we know that the Protoss is going to do that, we send a Marine Scout buffer here, because we're not going to constantly scan to see if his army is coming. No. We're just going to leave a Marine Scout buffer there, and macro until this second drop hits, And let's say the drop is, you know, like here, like almost there, and then this Marine gets killed. Well, we could load up these medevacs and either send them here because it's a safe spot. Maybe there's some stalkers. We'll send them over here. It's kind of safe. And then unload these guys and send them into the natural. At this point, we would keep track of his army here. Once it retreats to fight our other troop, we can send these double medevacs to fight his third here. Okay, so I'm explaining that because it's a really good tactic to save our double drops. I can't even tell you how many medevacs I didn't lose because, or how many medevacs we kept alive just because this Marine Scout here told me when the Protoss army was coming down to smash my 2 medevacs here. With the Marine Scout, it's kind of nice because you don't have to keep your eye on the periphery on the minimap. You can just you can put all your attention on macroing, and then once it's attacked, we double tap our troops and get out of there. Okay, that's it. I'm sure there might be some questions this time, because I did it a little bit quick this time. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Hope you subscribe and like the video, and then you'll be notified when I post the next video. Actually, another shout out too before I head out for the day is I wanted to say that I'm gonna put a link in the description for Pig's Fundamentals Guide, because it's really nice for learning how to do the camera hotkeys. I got a couple of comments in the past couple of weeks actually, just regarding asking like how to do the camera hotkeys, and asking for like just suggesting that it would be a good idea to do that, showing people how to do the camera hotkeys. So anyway, that's all for the shout outs, and have a good evening.